Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today's topic's going to be about practical spirituality. Now, when you think about that concept, you have to ask yourself, what does that mean? And so you've got to ask yourself, what is the true meaning of spirituality? And then you might ask yourself, is that something I seek and do out there? Or could it possibly also be something that's woven into the fabric of my everyday existence? Welcome to Creative Visions TV. I'm your host, Karen Dahlman, and as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about practical spirituality with our guest. But before I bring our guest on, let me tell you a little bit about her. So she is known for assisting old souls to regain their mastery of conscious creation. This means that our work helps people remember and awaken to their divine destinies. She's a multidimensional, intuitive channel. She works with a group of beings known as the golden beings of light from the 12th dimension. We're going to ask more about that for sure. She's an inspirational speaker, author, and practical spiritualist, and thus she helps her clients activate their purpose and abundance within their lives. She does this through using techniques she's developed called next level spiritual tools, clearings, and activations that help you unite your heart, mind, spirit, and soul. This is going to be good, you guys. So all the way from Florida, I'd like us to welcome our guest, Gabrielle Spencer. Yay, Gabrielle. Hello, hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here with you and just super thrilled that we got to connect with one another in real life and meeting out at the Conscious Life Expo. I mean, what a blessing. And later we found out that, wow, we have more in common. So important to have these commonalities and to know that united in the light, we're really all one. And then when we meet people like you and I, we realize, holy cow, we really are one, right? And that commonality is Dr. Norma Milanovic, which I know that you've had on your show. Dr. Norma is fantastic. And actually, you and I, when we started talking about how amazing she is, it came out that I've known her and have been good friends with her and in her groups for 21 years. But more importantly and more fun is that it was her very first spiritual journey I went on when I was 30 years old. Back when I was just awakening and realizing there's more to this. And I really felt the calling that I needed to go on this journey she was doing to Tibet. And at the time, being a snarky, cutesy little Floridian 30-year-old, I was like, Tibet? I don't even know where that is. And then I was like, $5,000? You are crazy. If I'm going to spend $5,000, I am going to Club Med Singles.
Oh, at that age, sure.
That's right. So it just tells you how I had to get my priorities in order and decide, okay, I really do feel it inside that I need to go. It's important. And there were a lot of things that, I had received as far as information. And this is when I was really just awakening. So I didn't have a lot of trust in what I would hear. And I really very, very mind-centric. And so it was difficult always to make things make sense to why you're going to choose to do something or not, And so I did go on that trip and made it happen. And there were all sorts of fun obstacles that were my own fault because, I had known in February of that year, this was in May for the trip. In February, I had gotten hit to renew my passport and truly my dog had eaten it. I'm not kidding you.
Oh my gosh.
And I had downloaded the form and filled it out. I never got a picture and I never sent it in. So when I found out about this journey at the end of April during WESOC, actually, which is where we are right now in WESOC, and I got the hit that I really needed to go, I was like, Gabrielle, you have 3 weeks.
Oh.
Seriously, from the time of the trip to leaving to Tibet. And I was going to need a visa and everything. And I'm like, why did you not listen? Why? Because I'm like, they gave me enough time, but I didn't follow through. And I think we find that in life in general. We get the intuitive hit, and yet we go, yeah, I got time. I'll get to it. I have to do it, and things like that. And that's why in practical spirituality, it's super important to follow the crumbs as they're given to you, because it's never full package. Here is step 1, step 2 is 10. It's never laid out for us like this. And that's why it's important to pay attention, but also to follow through, because that's where many of us fall apart. It's like we didn't follow through. So that was my first example of, oh my God, Gabrielle, it was given to you. You half-heartedly, made the effort, and now you have to do crunch time. Now, you've really got to double down and try really hard and jump more obstacles than I would have had I done it in February 2 months previously, right? So everybody can relate to that to their lives. So the reason it was so important for me to be on this trip, not just for my own awakening, but that is where I met my husband, who now we've been together 21 years and just passed our 19th wedding anniversary. So
wow,
there are reasons, right? There are reasons.
Always.
So you have to say to yourself, again, you got to listen. You have to listen to that intuitive voice. And while many of us get confused sometimes because that voice, it's not always hooked up to your highest self. Sometimes it's hooked up to your gut, which is fear-based. So a lot of us say, oh, my gut says, or I feel it in my gut. But here's the thing. That worked for when we were in that energetic, right? That frequency, but we aren't there anymore. That's still gut. First, second, and third chakras are security related, which are stability, security, survival, which are still fear-based programming. So we have to really be careful. Gut versus higher self intuition.
Well,
Yes?
that you bring up a really interesting point, because right now where we're filming this, you guys, we're on the lockdown, the pandemic that's going on worldwide. What's interesting is what a lot of people did was went to fear-based mode as soon as they heard there's this lockdown, and what do? They went out and bought toilet paper. That's for your lower chakras. Seriously, it sounds funny, but it's true, isn't it? So we go fear-based. We got to take care of our safety, our needs, get the food, get the toilet paper, and that's good if you heed that. But now we're at a different place. We have to start looking at what is the calling? What am I hearing? What am I receiving? Am I going to act upon that? Like what Gabrielle did, she kind of took her time to go to bed and let everything fall to pieces in a way. But then when you realized, I'm going to do this, sometimes it is timing, you guys, and it's okay if you're late sometimes to the game. It's the fact she actually did fall through, so you guys can too.
But the problem is that there are more obstacles.
Yeah, that's true.
When people say, I want to follow my path, but what we fail as humans, where I feel the failure is for many of us, is we want that, but then we don't take each incremental step as it arrives, when in that perfect moment it does go smoothly. Instead, we put it off, and then we run into more obstacles. Like for me, I was truly under a 3-week deadline. I had to not only get my passport, but I had to get a visa, and I lived in Florida, and so I had no cold weather gear. So I was doing a gazillion things and working. So it's not that it was impossible, but it meant I paid extra, right, to send my passport fast and express, and I had to keep sending it express and all that. And so it just tells you, look, I could have made it easier on myself. And so when a lot of people say, well, I expect that if it's something that's spiritual that I'm supposed to be doing, it's going to be done with ease and grace. It sure is. If you're listening, you're paying attention, and you're realizing, okay, this is going to take an action. And that's where in practical spirituality, we don't know timing. Okay, this is really hard for us to understand because we're so time oriented. And everything we want to know, well, how long do I have until, right? I can do this, but I'm going to wait until I get that paycheck in, or I'm going to wait until I get the inheritance, or I can convince somebody or whatever. Everything is about yes, and then taking the steps to do it. Yes is the universe's invitation to begin to assist you, to bring to you opportunities and potentials. Because the truth is, potentials and opportunities are like this. They have to come together, and not every one of them is going to work out. And it doesn't mean that it's not spiritually meant to be. You have to remember that universe is working with other humans. So everybody, as we get in alignment, imagine how much easier everything will be. It's when we have people that are out of alignment. And so what do we mean by alignment? So this is where the work with the golden beings of light is really important, because we've gotten caught up for a really long time on the ideas of limitations and beliefs, okay? This idea that everything is fear-based programming, and it is in the third dimension. So right now we're being asked to be third-dimensional humans and operate in this world as we are transitioning and opening our energetic selves to that 4D and 5D existences. So we're kind of bridging all the way, all the time. Different things are happening. And so we are being asked and shown first in this pandemic that's happening, we're letting go. We're letting go of a lot of deep stuff, deep fears, things that no longer serve us or support us. But, we were thinking maybe we could arrange it, because we're also really good about that. I like this about us as humans, right? We're really optimistic. We want this relationship to work out, or we want the job to work out, or I need to keep working because I need the money. We have a lot of things that we reason out with our minds. And so in practical spirituality, we understand that all of this is important because we've gotten caught up for a really long time on the ideas of limitations and beliefs, okay? This idea that everything is fear-based programming, and it is in the third dimension. So right now we're being asked to be third-dimensional humans and operate in this world as we are transitioning and opening our energetic selves to that 4D and 5D existences. So we're kind of bridging all the way, all the time. Different things are happening. And so we are being asked and shown first in this pandemic that's happening, we're letting go. We're letting go of a lot of deep stuff, deep fears, things that no longer serve us or support us. But, we were thinking maybe we could arrange it, because we're also really good about that. I like this about us as humans, right? We're really optimistic. We want this relationship to work out, or we want the job to work out, or I need to keep working because I need the money. We have a lot of things that we reason out with our minds. And so in practical spirituality, we understand that all of this is important. But when you step into the spiritual aspect of yourself, and you've activated your heart, your high heart, your higher mind, and your spirit soul connection, when that is all brought into alignment, you have the practical and the spiritual, and they're no longer separate. They become together in alignment. So you get to be in the world, because this is where we are transitioning from light worker to master of light. This is a transition and transformation in the same way. We must be light, learn how to use light to create potentials, opportunities, etc. That's what we're using as we raise our own vibration. It's having that ability to just create it, but it's because you're vibrating at a higher vibration of light. That's what it is. It's not abracadabra. It's not the old way of doing things. But in this transformational process, we're working on many levels and layers. And I think I've just explained it. We have a lot of things going on. But the way to make it easy, so it doesn't feel like you're trying to keep track of all of these different things, we must be present as beings of light in a third dimensional existence, while we're really transversing and teaching others how to do it, so that we can hit critical mass and all move the planet and ourselves into that 4D, which is the next phase, and then a 5D. There's a lot of things that are going to happen prior to that coming about. We are not there yet. And the first piece for every one of us, in order to do this successfully for ourselves and not trigger fear, is work through on a cellular level and really a soul consciousness level. I call it heart and soul consciousness. And this is where the golden beings of light come in. Because on a 12D level, we are working at a higher vibration. So if you take the understanding that it takes 10 times or tenfold a frequency to heal a frequency, okay? So here I am, I'm at, let's say it's a frequency of 200 that has to get filled, whatever that is. 0 to 200 are the fear frequencies. So whatever I'm experiencing is at a level of 200.
Okay.
You need a 10 times that frequency in order to undo it. Or you need to have, so you see, there's an or, right? So that was how it was. But now as we are evolving and raising our vibration and we are working with higher vibrational beings of light, it changes the rules a little bit. And the opportunities, and our opportunity is to use higher dimensional frequencies in order to heal these lower dimensional issues and to move them out quickly, to provide, I always think of it like missing frequencies, like missing notes in a song. Frequencies, when they're brought in from a higher dimension and higher dimensional beings, we're able to just move them out. So we're no longer talking about, I have limitations of money, or I'm thinking about money, or my parents had money issues and therefore I have money issues, or there are family curses about it, or about love and relationships. So whatever the issue is that you feel is the biggest one for you, it isn't actually tied to those things. Those are more third dimensional based. Like that's our understanding that we have the beliefs and limitations based on our own experience that we can remember. So when we're talking about heart and soul consciousness, we're talking about all of you, all of your existences, everything that is stored within your soul. So we can call it Akashic records. A lot of people are familiar. But again, all levels of your soul are going to be at different vibrations, right? So when you're working with higher vibrational beings of light, it doesn't matter. None of that really matters what level you're talking about.
Right.
7th dimensional Akashic records, or 8th dimensional, or 9th dimensional, which is generally where most people are when they're accessing Akashic records. They're looking at that 7D and above generally. So what we're talking about is connecting with beings that are opening realms to assist us to move faster. Because right now we're in the let's move faster piece. We're out of time. Like I said, 21 years ago.
Yeah.
I awakened and I began my journey. And there are many of us who awakened at that time. That was that 1998-ish time for a lot of awakening people. And it took us a long time, and we moved really kind of slowly. We had to plod along. And so even Norma Milanovic, a lot of what she was channeling at the time were universal laws and explaining how we could just, move to the next level. And that's what we were doing, because that's where we were. Just like we've come through this period where we talked about limitations and beliefs, and everybody's like looking for the block and where is it and what have you. Well, the block is going to be within your soul's consciousness, and it's about the origin of you. So all of us have an origin, and more than one many times. Your soul is not limited to one existence at one time in one place. And so that's expanding our minds here.
Okay, now you just shared a lot with us. Let's unpack some of this, okay?
Go ahead.
So we are in third dimension as human physical beings, yet we're multidimensional beings existing on many other different levels of existence, right. So different dimensions. So what I'm hearing you say is that we're here to be physical because that's what we're here, but we're also beginning to be able to access these other dimensions of ourselves through the other helpers out there in other dimensions, or just through ourselves awakening to ourselves. And as we do that, we start to find ourselves being able to follow, our desires, or follow our purpose, and to allow the synchronicities to happen and allow ourselves to move forward. Can you expand upon that a little bit further so people can understand it practically again, how it works in our life right here, right now?
It matters because the more in alignment you are with the highest aspect of yourself, the clearer the guidance, the clearer the opportunities that come, okay? So for example, in my own life, because I love to use my own life as an example. So
well, you know it the best, right?
That's right. And here's the part about being practical is that we have to live this every day.
Yes.
And we get to see, like you talked about at the beginning of the show, it's about understanding that this is not all frou-frou, that's great, one day I'm going to get to it stuff.
Yes.
If we are shifting with the planet, okay, so I want to take a really simple explanation. So many years ago now, I was shown an hourglass, you know, the sand hourglasses, right? Okay, so there's that little space in the middle that's narrow, right? And it keeps the few sand granules coming down, okay? So that's how it was 20 years ago. There were only a few people that could reach up to that higher level and get information and bring it down for the masses in the bottom of that hourglass. Then a few years ago, that middle started widening, which meant more of us had the access to the information and the gifts and abilities that were coming through because the veil, we all kept saying the veil is dissipating, it's dissolving, etc., right? So that was the veil. That middle piece was opening wider and wider. So right now we don't have an hourglass, we have a cylinder. It's all wide open.
That's a great analogy. Thank you, Gabrielle, for that one.
You're welcome. So now it's open and we have a cylinder, except that as everything is a cycle, okay? So as it had opened and expanded, so more of us had access, it will also once again close, but this time it will separate, okay? So those two halves will become their own entities. When that happens, that is when the third dimension stays in the third dimension, and those of us who are a higher energetic can move into that 4D and 5D where we physically will be in them, okay? So there will be a time where there will be a split, okay? We don't know when. What we know only right now is that in order for us to be able to exist in this current environment, let's just talk about today, right?
Yeah, let's do.
Crazy,
yeah.
like you talked about. So the reason that we're going through this period of time is because it is making us, forcing us to let go of the shit that doesn't matter anymore. So whenever I hear clients and people say things like, well, I don't have the money, I will tell you this just straight out. That is victim consciousness. It's poverty consciousness. And the more that you focus on it, it truly will be true. It will continue to reinforce itself, even though you don't want it to. Now, it's not about ignoring things, okay? Because remember, I'm a practical thinker as well as a spiritualist. So it's not to say, okay, I'm going to pretend it's not true, because then you just created a whole new cycle, right? But when you put your focus on, I am opening my heart and my soul, and I'm bringing myself into alignment, and I am healing the soul consciousness disconnections and separations that have occurred throughout my multidimensional existences, the ones that created were the seed or the root of the problem, where that disconnection, you from your own light and source, where those occurred. Because when that happens and you become disconnected, I like to show it. I'm going to show you. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. Here we go. This is my favorite. I know. Here we go, though. You guys are going to love this. If you like my hourglass, you're going to love this one. So this is what happens to your light connection from your heart all the way to your soul.
It's like a broken slinky. What is that? It looks like a broken slinky.
It's a slinky. You see what happens with a slinky? It gets kinked. It has glitches. It's not a straight column of light. It's open. You've got light pouring out all over. You've got entities attacking you in the openings. You're not solid, right? You see that? So as I know. I love the visuals. So
I do
here it
too.
is. As you heal this multidimensional consciousness of yourself, you bring yourself back into alignment. Then, as you merge your multidimensional self, your light bodies, that closes. And so now there's less leaking out and there's less of you to attack. You become solid light. Okay? That's our goal. When we are in this place, and it doesn't have to be obviously all the way here, right? As we are fixing our kinks and we get better and better and we undo them, what happens is somebody can say to me, Gabrielle, I am really struggling and I need you to do a cleanup. I literally only have to say, okay, and it's being worked on, because that's the vibration of light. It's not that I had to go through an hour of meditation and I have to do all this work, da 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 da. No, it doesn't require that. I'm connected and I'm working with higher beings of light who are working with you. And the minute you ask and I agree, boom, it's in process.
So the old paradigm was we took a lot of time. We'd go through hours and hours of therapy or workshops and retreats. And not that that's bad. We're not saying that. But what I'm hearing
because
is
we
saying,
have to heal ourselves.
That's right.
And those are still needed for whatever areas that are still not working for you.
Right.
See, and when we are working on this multidimensional level, people will start with me and they'll say, well, this is the reason I've come to you. Right? Because that's our impetus to get started, because we have a real pain point. Okay. We have real issues. But what I'm saying to you is the issues are never what we think of, that we think they are. The issue is going to come down to that self-love, self-worth. I accept myself. All of those issues, which are really about you and your light and your power from within. Your power from within emanates, your base is your high heart, and it's in opening it and allowing that light to radiate through that you're able then to draw to you whatever is needed, and you don't end up in fear. And this is why it's really important, especially now as we were talking about fear running rampant. As you expand your light, because you've gotten rid of all the junk, that's what expands it. That's the only way. You cannot just be like, you know what, I want to be at a level 500, which is hard on the scale of consciousness. Right?
Yeah.
That's hard. That's hard to be. Everybody comes in at 0 to 200, which are the fear-based frequencies: worry, doubt, stress, anxiety, fear, anger, hurt. All of those are in the 0 to 200 frequencies on the scale of consciousness. Okay. So it's our job. That's how it was designed, for us to work through those, release what we need to, and then you move up on that scale of consciousness. And our goal is to get to 500, which is wide open love, right? And it's in that 500, interestingly enough, corresponds to 5D. Hello, does everybody see it? So that's why we're moving into that higher expansion of love. And the way you do it is to get rid of all the fear and all the disconnections that have disconnected you from your own light, your own power, and your own connection to the highest vibration of source energy. When and as you begin this evolution into this lovely, straight, working, slinky, right? And we're condensing we're merging with our light bodies. What happens is when everything around you is going crazy. It's not to say you don't go crazy. What happens is you might go into fear for 5 minutes. You might go in for 10 minutes, maybe 30. But the truth is, it just passes through you like water. Like you recognize it, but it doesn't drag you into the drama, the chaos, and all that ensues if you're only in fear. So for us to maintain this new matrix of golden light that the golden beings are assisting us with, this golden matrix of higher Christ consciousness. Okay, so we're all working on the same things, but we're doing it in our own ways with the higher guidance that we're connected with. Everybody has a role, and what's part of this alignment process is learning what your role is. It's not just what your purpose is, but what is your role? Well, all of us have the first role of, I'm going to be the highest vibration beacon of light that I can be. That's job one. And as you're working on that job, that's when your own soul purpose comes in and you realize what you really resonate at doing. And then as you're doing it, you get assigned new roles as well as new gifts and abilities, because it really comes down to, as we're connected, once again, we're reopening our own gifts and abilities originally. That's what we're returning to our origin self.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this. So let's say we have somebody watching who's going through a lot of hardship right now. They've just lost their job. They don't know where their next meal is going to come from. They're not getting their compensation checks in time. They're not sure what's going to happen next. I mean, I get a lot of people reaching out to me and asking me these questions. So what would you say to them in terms of this alignment and being able to work with some of these other multidimensional aspects of themselves so they can begin to not feel so much fear? Because I could see why those people feel that way. And that's the old paradigm and way of we express ourselves when we're in that situation. What would you say to them?
I would start with, so I teach something very simple. And it's first, how do you connect with your highest self? Okay. And so I teach everyone, you're going to just sit in a chair or lie down, close your eyes, take a first deep breath. Okay. So you're just centering yourself with that deep breath. And then you're going to roll your eyeballs up toward your eyebrows, leaving your eyelids to flutter. Okay. And just take 2 more deep breaths and just be calm. And this process allows your brain to switch over into the semi-conscious state of theta brainwave. And this is where we are conscious, but yet we've basically switched off our brain. So our first issue in getting any information is to have the brain cooperate versus fight us, okay? So when we do this exercise, you are taking the brain and just kind of moving it to the side. Now, I suggest to people, I ask my clients to om, have their brain repeat om to themselves the whole time, if they can. And you don't have to keep your eyes rolled up the whole time, but just get yourself over into that state and then just om. And it's, again, so you don't have the interference, because the brain's programming is to protect you, is to make sure you're safe, okay? So we want to disconnect that a little bit so that you can get good information, okay? So it's something very simple, and that is, you have a couple choices. One, connecting, I say, Mother, Father, God, it is commanded that my highest self be connected to the highest vibration of God. And through this connection, to provide me blank. Show me the way. What is my next step? What is it I need to know? Now, I'm telling you this as your separate questions, okay? So whatever one feels right. When you compile a paragraph list, garbage in, garbage out, okay? It's way too much. And if you'll notice, I know you use the Ouija board, I use the pendulum. And you'll notice that when we're using those things, if you ask your question 80 different ways, did you get any clarity? No.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, okay, was that a yes or maybe or 25% yes? I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing when we are connecting to our highest self. And be aware that it's not a booming voice that says to you, do this, this, and this. You're going to have to wait for the signs or wait for it to come in when you're least expecting it. I mean, as you practice this, and many of you probably already realize it, you know, it can be, for me, it's in generally the same places. I'll get hits when I'm driving my kids to school. I will get hits when I'm in the shower, and I will get hits as I'm awakening in the morning, which is when you're also in theta brainwave. Right. Okay. So I have my general times for when something comes to me, but I've also prepared in my own life for those weird moments when things hit, because you can't ever tell, right? nobody up there honors a schedule. I don't know what's up with that. But I keep cards, index cards at my desk and around me at all times so I can quickly jot down what it was that I heard. Forget.
Yeah, I always suggest I have with me a pad of paper at all times, you guys. It's in my purse, it's in my car, it's in my bedroom, it's in anywhere in my house. So I get ideas, you write them down. This is what she was talking about in the beginning of when you get an idea or something you're supposed to do, that and you write it down, it's going to make you more likely to follow that. And that's where these energies and you self connecting with your multidimensional self is guiding you. It's literally guiding you guys. She's talking about right here. So let's say the person that example is they lost their job and they don't know what's going to happen next. And so how would you take that technique?
Here's the issue with, I get it. Trust me. We're all in this situation. I mean, I still work and do my spiritual stuff.
Right.
So I get the corporate and all that's happening or whatever your job is, right? Yes. What I know is this. We cannot see from our eyes and from our mind potentials and opportunities because we only know. I only know Karen. Should I call Karen and ask her what I should do for a job? Or are you going to be better served to say, this bill is due, food needs to be brought in, whatever it is, and completely know. This is the trust piece within yourself, and this is why this alignment work is so important. Trust. The food needs to arrive. I need to feed my children. I need a job. I need whatever. And here's the part that humans, we have a harder time with. It's that it doesn't look like what we imagine it should. And so we pass on it. We don't take it.
True.
Okay. So I'll never forget. I had this client a long time ago, and she really wanted a mate, really wanted her partner, her ideal partner. And it was given to me in a vision that, you know, this guy was like wearing painter kind of work clothes and on a ladder, and this was like her partner. And she called me, I don't remember, it was like a couple weeks after, and she goes, Gabrielle, please tell me. And she describes this guy exactly as I had described it to her that I had been shown in the vision. She goes, please tell me it's not him. And I said, okay. So she did not get together with him for whatever, because she goes, I cannot be with a worker. That was her thing. Like, I just I can't go there. That was serious. Anyway, the point of it was that because it didn't look like what she wanted, she passed. And so what did she do? She then chose to go back to her old relationship that was really terrible, but the person fit her idea of success and money and etc. Okay? And so it's not the other person. What was funny is he caught on straight away, and she told me what he had said to her. Like, he had called her on it and had said, you know, we're meant to be together. This was the strangest thing, and it really freaked her out, but she still didn't listen. He had said to her, you know, we're supposed to be together, but I can tell that you don't want to even consider it because I'm like a worker guy. He goes, but I just want you to know I own my own window company. So he was there to fix her window, I guess. Anyway, so it's okay. That's not to say he's poor, right? I mean, he's got his own business, etc. But in her own mind, she needed a guy wearing a suit who had a corporate job, and that was what was acceptable. And so she said no. And I find, I mean, that's a very extreme example, but what I find for all of us is we pass. Like, I don't have enough time. I'll get to it later. It'll come back again if it's meant to be is a really, really big one for people. But you know what? Opportunities, I always think of my higher self up there running around to other higher selves going, okay, I need you to call, I need you to email, I need you to do this and that, right? And so your higher selves are all coordinating with the universe, right? Because that's how it gets to us here. It's being coordinated up here. And it's not all destiny, people. We have stepped out of destiny. Say bye-bye. That predestiny stuff is over.
That's the old paradigm.
Yeah, we're writing our own way, okay? So it's not to say, I said this to my husband one time. I said, you know, you can stop manifesting the lottery. Like, it doesn't have to be 50 million or 100 million or 800 million or whatever it is. Just win a scratch off. It doesn't have to be like this grand thing. And I think that as humans, we get caught up in this idea that it has to all come out in a certain way.
Yeah,
and
we
that's
do.
where then we disconnect ourselves from the beauty and the gifts that the universe has in mind for us. So people who have just lost their jobs, and it's dire, your first and only job is not to go into fear. It is to say, what am I fearing? Okay, so it's easy to say, don't go into fear. And I really dislike spiritual people who go, don't do this, right? But they don't tell you how.
Right.
So I'm going to tell you this. The first thing is to know and to identify if you're going into fear. And then to, again, do that exercise I gave you and ask, what is it that I fear most? And dig to the origin issue. What is it that you fear most? Because that's what you're going to need to release and to work on so that you step through the issue. That's it's how we're doing it now.
So how would they release it then, Gabrielle? Let's say they go and they say, I lost my job, and they go to the fear. Fear is I'm not going to be able, you go through, you start digging down. I'm not going to be able to, I'll do it. I'll practice. So I'm not going to be able to feed my family. Okay. I'm actually probably not going to be able to afford my home anymore. Now I'm not going to be able to afford the payments on my car. And now that really scares me, and it makes me really feel sad and alone and frightened. Okay. So you get to these, so you dig down. How do you
dug
release?
Down with your mind. When we're connecting to our highest self, it is never what our mind, like I told you, we can only know what we know with our minds. Our higher self knows all, every existence that you've had, everything that you've experienced.
Right.
And so it's never going to be, I've lost my home, or I'm living in a cave, or I was shunned from my village, or any of those things, although those will be traumas in there, okay? And I get them a lot when I work on people. Shunned from a village is real. Terrible. Being ostracized, being abandoned and alone, and all of those things are real. So the answer is, when you're connecting and you're asking for information, it's going to be that you're looking for where that original separation happened that caused you to feel abandoned and alone and with no options and no opportunities. Because then all we do is we keep replicating them when we're focused on how we do it here in the third dimension. You're not a third dimensional being. You have a third dimensional vehicle and an existence. But in order to use light to change timelines and to move things, you have to be at a higher vibration and not stuck here. Your higher self, I've always envisioned it and explained it to people like this. Your higher self, imagine, is the airplane pilot flying 30,000 feet above the ground. They can see a whole lot more. They can see where the rivers are, the blocks, where the road is wiped out. They can see all of that stuff from way up there. But we down here can only see right out. I can see, 20 yards out my window. That's what I can see. I can know what's happening in my work life or my family life because I'm right here in it. But you get stuck in the in it part. You can't see over the next ridge. You can't see over the next mountain. And you can't see over the next problem. Every time that we have a problem that comes up, I will say, so I'm the practical spiritualist. My husband is a little bit more of the drama king type.
Oh.
So I know, very intelligent and, really dynamic personality, but he tends to go more towards that, the sky is falling.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about here, with somebody who feels that way right now. The sky is falling. Right. Yeah.
So I am telling you that this is how I deal with it, because this happens and it's really quite amazing, right? But I call myself the grounder person because I just don't ruffle anyway, not very often. So I have that in my family. So there you go. I get to have it constantly in my periphery. But the first thing is to feel it. Like, I let him have it. Go ahead. Freak out. Get crazy. Whatever. And then I go, okay. Bye-bye. And then he leaves. And I do just what I said. I just go, okay, show me the way. And I will tell you. every time the answer comes very quickly and it resolves itself. And this is the trust piece. That's why you're working on releasing your fears. It's not saying to you, I'm going to come up with a 10-step blueprint for how I'm going to get out of this.
Right.
I mean, there may be things that you're going to be moved to do, but you're not going to know what they are unless you're listening and unless you have trust to know, I get that it might have to be tomorrow, but there may be other things that come up, like, okay, you're going to do the eye roll and go into that, and you get the idea, oh, I should call the higher self of my landlord and work together on the etheric. And then you get the hit, now call him. Give him the story. Look, I need extra time, whatever it is. And I think that that's what I meant by expectations. Like, our expectation is that the universe is going to just deliver the $1 million lottery win.
Right, tomorrow.
It doesn't,
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. It works incrementally most of the time. I mean, a miracle is still in the increments. That's what a miracle is, because then your higher self knows the fastest way to work it out. When our mind gets involved, oh my God, I always can see it, and I explain it like this. Imagine you're on a highway and suddenly you took a detour. The detour, lost my job. Oops, detour off the highway. I was going just fine. Everything was going good.
Right.
Now you're off in the detour. When our mind gets involved, that loop of the detour just goes round and round and round. We don't ever find our way off because your mind only knows what it knows, and it keeps trying to make it make sense. And I could do this, I could do that, and nothing is working. No, nothing is working because you're not in alignment with what you are supposed to be doing, which none of us know what it is. Period. I don't care what anybody says. I'm taking it day by day. I have no idea. I do things based on if I feel like it's the right thing for me to do, okay? And that's how you have to start operating. And when you start operating in that way, when big things happen, I'm going to tell you, you will work through them. It may not feel magical in the moment. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's really hard. But you do it anyway. I mean, sometimes it's not always comfortable. But when you listen, you're in alignment, then you're in the flow, and other things are being worked on at the same time. So it comes together. So instead of getting stuck on, oh my God, I don't have a job. I get that. Show us. What do we need to do? Bring it together, however it needs. I didn't have it has to be done. I just wanted something. Give me something. And I think that's part of the problem. We've been so trained that we have to have a specific outcome in mind in order to get what we want. But sometimes when you're just in alignment, you know, and have the trust and the belief and the understanding that it's going to be better than what you want.
So in other words, when things start happening,
follow.
you ask for this guidance, it's to not judge what's coming through, not limit yourself with it. Even though you can only see one step in front of you that it's given to you, doesn't mean you're not going to get the rest soon. So it's like, just keep plodding forward with what you're receiving, because it could twist and turn again, what you receive.
Yes, this is the thing. It's like I said, there is no predestiny anymore, as in it has to be this way, this way, this way. There's things being worked on many levels all the time, but we want to tap into them. We don't tap into them when we are stuck in the fear. It doesn't mean that it's not real, okay?
Right, it is real.
But what it means is that that's not where we're focusing, because the universe could say, you know what? We have a house that needs a sitter, and Karen knows a person who's looking for somebody to go sit in their second house because they can't get out there, and you happen to live around the corner. We don't know. I just got a shiver. We don't know how it's going to work out, but we know and we trust that the universe has our back. And that's the point about being calm and centered and connecting and allowing the group you have working with you, because, buddy, they are legions.
And everybody has them, you guys. Everybody has these group of beings.
You know,
yes.
It's so funny. In my life, I'm named Gabrielle. I have my lineage is angel, and the 12D beings of light, they look like angels, but they are not angels. They are golden beings. And when I first saw them, which I know we wanted to talk about this, when I first saw them, I had been working with them prior, but it never occurred to me to ask, like, to see them. Do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of funny.
Oh, yeah.
But I was in London in early February 2019, and I was doing an activation for freeing the money system and freeing all of the limitations of the money system, etc., in the center of London, in their financial hub, their financial center, which, by the way, they have a plaque down there that's actually a pyramid, and on it they have every financial center that's in that area that they call the financial center. But on this plaque it says Financial Center, Heart of London.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
The center is the heart.
That's right. And you're like, wow, right? Where is everybody putting their understanding? It's in money. And that's why it's such a crucial issue for everybody, because that's what we believe, or have been led to believe, that is our life sustaining element, is money, when it is not. It is the heart. It is our heart, our high heart, and our opening to light. That is our life-sustaining element that is needed. And then money is just a tool. It's just another thing to bring to us as we need it. And it's not just money. It's like we said, even housing and cars, etc. Mm-hmm. I mean, when things are happening like right now, there are tools that are being provided by the 3D humans and the banks and such like that. And it might mean that you have to take advantage of that. But that's, again, that action and being connected to know, okay, it's today, I need to take care of it and actually do that. So when I was in the heart of London, I was the anchor in front of this pyramid that said the Heart of London on it. And while I was there and doing what was coming to me, I saw like these golden beings. And I at first was like, are those, they look kind of like an angel, but they're definitely not an angel. They are just golden energy, literally. Mm-hmm. And so they came in and put over, like I said, that golden matrix of higher Christ consciousness over the entire financial center of London. It was pretty amazing. But I was really moved because I've got this great understanding that there's no limits. And when we say no limits, I think as humans, we have limits on what we think is a no limit. And that's what's really fascinating.
I think so too. Yeah, that's a good point.
So I realized in that moment many things, but one was that my origin is from the golden sun, which is behind the great central sun. As far as dimensionality goes, it's behind the great central sun, but it's in a 12D existence. And so my origin is as a golden being of light. Now, when I first started my whole awakening, I very much resonated with Ra, the sun god.
Yes,
And I had even named my company back then Raw Energetics, because I so got the golden sun thing. Okay. So I always resonated with it, even though at that time everybody was like, oh, you're a Pleiadian, you're this and that. And I always knew, like, well, yeah, I've had lifetimes there, but that was never really in here. So for each one of us, we know, like, you may be a starseed, but you may actually also have other existences where your soul is even more at home, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm, it does. It does.
So for me, I knew in that moment that I was one of them, that totally brought everything together over my many years, where I was like, okay, now I understand why I'm so aligned with them and why they've been working with me, even when I didn't understand that that's who they were, the golden beings of light, and the golden sun. So what is beautiful about them is that they are assisting us to wipe away to reharmonize and bring ourselves back into frequency alignment with our soul at the highest level that we're able to merge ourselves.
Okay.
And so they're doing it in a way that is faster and easier than what we've done in the past. It's like I said, we're not focusing on, I have money issues. It's where is the separation that you cut off your own light, where you cut off your own abilities, or where they were cut from you. And sometimes that happens based on whatever our soul was doing. You can be cut off from your own abilities because you weren't using them in the highest vibrational way. And so it's about reconciling all of those instances so that we make you that beautiful slinky of nice, beautiful column of light. And so they're offering pragmatic, because I believe that's part of how I channel things. I totally feel that where spirituality and practicality are split is what creates a problem for us in the third dimension. Because there are many who want to say, well, just believe whatever. And you're like you were talking about money. So
That's
just
right.
believe it's going to come. But it takes more than belief. I mean, yes, it's trust actually more than belief. You have to trust that the universe is going to take care of you and that the money you need or the car or the food, that it will be provided to you. Okay? It's not our job to know how. It's our job to believe that we'll be shown how. And that when that comes in, that then we take the action. Okay?
Action. I was going to say, action is the key word here. It's not
Action
sitting back.
is.
You've got to move forward. Yeah.
It's like
when you're talking about the golden beans, I feel like,
Yeah.
do they have a message for us? I feel like they want to talk.
All right.
Are they there? Because I can feel them through your presence.
Always with me, thankfully. I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful. The golden beings of light, as I said, is an energy. They're energy, and they take form, but in energy, they just emanate out of your heart center.
Yeah.
And I had someone who, I was at a conference, I was a speaker, but the person didn't know that I was one of the speakers. And this man came up to me after and he said, "Oh my God, I had no idea you were a speaker." He goes, "But I was watching you from the other side of the room." He said, "You have this huge golden ball of light just coming out of your heart." And see, that's when you're in total, it's not even alignment. It's like oneness, is that you're merging with these higher vibrational beings and they're with you. You're them, right? Does that make sense?
No, absolutely.
And so in everything, I find that peace. So we talk about stability and security, even in our moment right now, in this craziness that's happening, and it will continue to be crazy. Yeah. We are in a war. There are so many layers of things happening. Okay? So energetically, there is a fight always between light and dark. The dark wants your soul, and the light has already claimed you. You as a person have a choice. And it's like I said, when that cylinder divides once again, you're going to have chosen if you're staying in the third dimensional existence or if you're rising to the higher vibrational existences. That's the choice. So there's always that fight for the soul, basically, that soul aspect of you. So there's that. But then there's higher energetics going on, where there's higher wars going on for this ascension of the planet and the souls on it. And so there are many layers, and that's why I talked earlier about roles. Because some people are here as warriors, and they're meant to be warriors for the light. And it's up to them to really help quarantine the dark and to keep them from being able, I know, I like quarantine.
Interesting use of that word.
Because right now they're trying to quarantine the light. The side of dark is using fear, instability, and lack to control us, to not just keep us in our homes, but to shrink. And this is when we are to really become emboldened and allowing that connection with light to shine through to provide us stability from within. That's how we create it on the outside. So what you want to create on the outside must first exist on the inside. That's right. And it's the same with stability, trust. I call it divine trust and divine truth, being in alignment with divine truth. Those are all important to see through all the illusions that are created. And it's created even in other dimensions. Evil, what we claim to be evil, is not just a third dimensional existence. The War of the Angels happened. There are things that have happened throughout many existences. And many people know them. I mean, there are a lot of people that follow the aliens, the grays, the reptilians, and all of that, and how their machinations are here on this earth. And so we have to realize that there are many players on the board. If we want to be a player on the board as a warrior of light, a master of light, whatever your energetic is, where your soul is in alignment, that's the role you came here to play. Your job now, it's like that movie, Player One, that just came out, the video game. You've been activated. You've been put on the board. If you're listening to this, you already know you've been activated. You're on the board. Now you have to play your piece according to what you agreed to do. And you will get additional responsibilities as you go. So I look at it like this. The things about food and shelter, that is an easy thing for up here, our legions and our teams can provide for us. Our job is to be the vehicle and to just do what it is that we're guided to do in order to bring that to us, okay? But you have to listen, and sometimes it's not comfortable, okay?
That's right.
That's the part that everybody has to know and remember, okay? So our needs will be met, but it's not about just sitting there saying, well, my needs will be met. I'm just waiting for it to come in. Because that's not how it's going to come in, okay? Mm-hmm. I know I recently was working with a client, and we had talked about her becoming a virtual assistant because there's so many people going online, right? Because she has no job and no way to make an income. So exactly the example that you brought up. So it keeps coming up, and it's being brought back to me, the memories of things. She had told me, well, I can't afford whatever. I said to her, we're not going to say we can't afford. We're going to ask the universe to provide for you what you need so you can learn what it is to be a virtual assistant and figure out how to make that a business for yourself. I got an email from somebody I'm on their email list I've known for 10 years or more and trust her greatly. I had gotten an email saying she was doing a beta course to teach people how to become virtual assistants for free.
How funny.
In this beta course. Right. Do you see what I'm saying? It wasn't right away, but it was within a couple weeks.
And you were able to lead her to that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I sent it to her and I said, hey, here you go. I know this person. She's fabulous. Sign up. Right?
You never know where it's going to come from. That you're so right. You just got to open in line to that. Welcome it, ask. You always have to ask, and then it starts coming. You guys, it doesn't come through these miraculous, it can, but typically it comes from somebody you know, or some email, or some phone call, or something random. It's amazing. That's the beauty when the pieces start coming together and you start to notice them.
That's it. That's the part. You have to notice it, and you have to take the impetus that comes. Whatever it is, and it's usually not anything you would ordinarily do.
Right.
It's not things that you are thinking of, because again, this is outside of the mind. The part your mind plays, and there is a part that your mind plays, and it is the action step. That is what is assigned to your mind after it's been given the instructions from your heart. So that's where we get screwed up as spiritual people. Like this idea that it just has to all come in ready-made with a bow on it. No, your mind, you need your mind. There is no way to get rid of your mind or your ego. Okay, I just want to dispel this idea that you can kill the ego and any of this bullshit that I keep hearing out on the waves. It is not true. Your ego and your mind are together. It's that survival programming, okay? So when you bring yourself into alignment, what you do is those aspects of yourself go into alignment. So they're not butting their heads. You cannot get rid of any aspect of yourself.
I agree. You
what
cannot.
Are you gonna do?
No, you can't. It's like cutting off your arm or something. You're not supposed to be doing that.
Right, exactly. No, everything
It's
has to be brought into alignment.
essential, right?
Okay? Your ego and your mind, as you evolve and you align, you transform them into a higher vibration and connecting with your higher mind, okay? But that is how you exist in this third dimension. You need those. Those are tools that you're using, right, to create in this world, like getting a computer system up and running. I'm sorry, I've not met a spiritual anything that's going to help me do that. I need my mind to tell me, okay, you're doing this and that and what have you. So there's a place for everything. And when you bring it into alignment, it's not saying, okay, mind, this is your job. It's all working together as a released machine, right?
Yeah.
So when we're talking about you've lost your job, here's what I have to say about it. There's something else for you. Don't keep trying to go back into the same old thing that you are trained for. I mean, I have a story for that. When in 2004, 2005, I'm in mortgage and mortgage banking, and I was back in the early 2000s. And I made a lot of money. So a lot of money to me was $500,000 a year. I lived in a $1.4 million house in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I had a great life, my 2 small daughters and my husband, and everything was great. And then the whole market fell apart in 2008.
Yep, 2008.
So my home was foreclosed on in 2009. We went through all of our savings in the intervening years because actually in mortgage, it started to collapse before everybody else saw it. So in those intervening years, we blew through money. Well, a $1.4 million house to keep my lights on and to keep everything going was over $12,000 a month, which when you're making $50,000 a month or $80,000 a month, who cares? That's nothing, whatever, write the check. And so that whole experience taught me a lot. But one of the things that happened was that we lost everything. And so I had to come to terms with that, right? So everybody thinks, well, as soon as I have money, everything's going to be great.
Right.
Except for that you have to do a lot to continue that flow of money if that's your impetus, right? And so it kind of feeds on itself. It actually isn't the answer to the problem. It can actually create other problems. So when you're in alignment, which even at the time I tell everybody, I was spiritual. My husband and I met on a spiritual journey to Tibet. You can't get any more flippant spiritual than that, right? and we were spiritual and followed that, but everything was compartmentalized. I always had my practical life and spirituality over here, which is what I keep talking about. You cannot have it that way.
No.
You must merge them, and I never did, and I never understood that that was what it meant to be in alignment, where you must merge the practical and the spiritual, and you must function at a high functioning rate, high vibration here in the physical. That is what it means to be a master of light, is that you are reconnecting, reactivating all of your gifts, and then more. You get more gifts, which are cool. And you use those to help you create in your life. So it's not a miracle anymore. It just is what is every day. And you're just grateful for it. So for me, I still work in mortgage. I still do securitization. And what's fascinating, and I thank the golden beings of light every day, I'm still being paid to do no work. And that's been about 5 weeks now.
Wow.
And in mortgage, that does not happen. That's not how that whole corporate thing works. So had I bought into that, maybe it wouldn't be working. But I had, from the very beginning of this, I just said, I'm just here. Just show me what I need to do. And I have listened to every time I've wanted to leave this job, which is what's so funny. I don't ever. Nothing works out, even when I try. And I always come back to, instead of going, what's wrong with me? I just go, it must not be time for me to go. That's just my human self that goes, I don't want to do this anymore, right? And we all have that. We go, this isn't working. I'm going to give up, whatever. But when you're connected, you just know what it is instead of internalizing it like there's something wrong with me. So if you're still doing these, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
That's an internal thing that we're talking about on a higher level that needs to be worked out. Where's the origin of that? Because it's not always about you, but we don't realize that if you're still stuck in that vibration of it's always about you, right? It's like everything is a mirror to us until you're just holding the mirror, holding it for others to see what they need to see. And that's fine. And sometimes it does come back to you, but you know when that is. Does that make sense? It's a whole different energetic.
Yeah. No, it does. So I think what's really important here is that when you look at how you're living your life, is that to be practical with your spirituality is not to compartmentalize it as she was doing, and many of us do. It's to say, I'm going to walk my talk and I'm going to do this work here. And right now, you guys, in this lockdown pandemic thing, is a great time to start practicing these ideas, these concepts, which really you're going to find are not just out there, they're actually in here, and you're going to find yourself start aligning with it. I know she's talking about where new things are going to come into your life. The old is being asked to be pushed away. And I know a lot of you guys out there right now are rethinking your lives, rethinking what you're doing, cleaning your closets metaphorically and literally, and really going through your stuff, which is fantastic, because that's what this allows us to do. That's a positive flip side of looking at this. And I gotta tell you, everybody's reaching out to me and telling me the stuff they're doing, and I know I'm doing it too. So what it does, it allows us to look at what will serve us now in this moment. What do I feel like resonates most with me? And so I hear Gabrielle today speaking so much to us about that, and how to let go of the old paradigm, welcome ourselves into the new, make that alignment, and welcome all these legions of helpers out there to work with us. It's been a fantastic conversation to hear you, what you have to say. Is there any final words you'd like to share? And then along that line, please let everybody know where they can find you and what you have coming.
All right. So we're going to give you a blessing, I hear. So the message for each and every person is to open your heart to the golden beings of light, to allow them to shine through you into your reality, to assist you to align with not only your greatest purpose, but what will fill you on every level of your being, for you to accept your mission as it is meant to be for your greatest good. You are not only loved, you are cherished. However, you must love and cherish yourself. While this sounds like words, it is an energetic, and is open and available to you as you say yes. In this yes, you give us permission to connect with you and to assist you in your own life and your path to be of the greatest service for yourself and to humanity throughout all of your existences. As you bring them into alignment, so too shall you shine throughout all universes. This is your home, and you are meant to succeed. We are with you always and are willing and able to guide you. Open your hearts, and we are there. You are loved intimately and ultimately throughout all levels and frequencies. We're moving some things out of the heart and throat chakras, so give that just a minute. A little bit of resistance, but not only that, it's a heaviness that I feel in the heart area. Allow all of the anger, the hurt, the fear, and the mistrust and distrust to be healed from your heart on your multidimensional levels and layers. Allow the golden energy and the golden light to fill you with the frequencies from the golden sun, to bring your heart's consciousness into oneness and wholeness, radiating out the highest vibration of golden light, healing you on a cellular level, your DNA, your physical, etheric, energetic, and spiritual bodies, bringing yourself into wholeness and oneness, stepping into your mastery of light. Breathe in this energy of golden light, allowing it to feed your heart and your soul. Placing your trust in your own light, empowering you to be the master and creator. Take a deep breath in and out. Thank you. So be it. So it is. So mote it be.
Yes, yes, yes. So everybody out there say yes to welcoming this energy and this help to come forward for you at this time. Where can people find you, Gabrielle? What's coming up for you next?
GabrielleSpencer.com.
Okay.
All of my programs, top of my page says programs. Click that button and it will take you to all of the things I'm doing. I'm doing master classes right now on healing your soul. It's a masterclass series called Heal Your Soul. It's available on MP3s and live, so you can have it either way if you want it right away. The live is based on the group. It's so amazing what happens when we all come together, because all of us have things that need to be moved out that are not going to be typical from class to class. And that's what I love about doing the live master classes, is because they are totally based on the energetics of the group. So I have a Heal Your Higher Mind, Higher Self Connection masterclass that's going live. And I'm also next will be doing a masterclass called The 4 Phases of Awakening to Ascension. So yes, because there are 4 phases that we are moving to as we talk about this alignment. There are 4 phases you go to before you get to that ultimate master of light position, and where we can claim that again for real. So it's a beautiful thing, and it just continually we're being guided to be real. This is not about, I feel very strongly, and I see it all the time, it's not about Emperor Has New Clothes, the old book.
Right.
This is time for us to own our own light. And the golden beings of light, that to me emphasizes that you're allowed to be human. And in fact, you're encouraged to embrace being human, because that is why we're here.
Yes.
This idea that we just can't wait to get off planet and leave this whole thing behind, that will only further deter you from where you need to be for your own soul's mission. We've all agreed to come back here to help this transition. In order to help the transition, you must clear and align your own self. That's how we do it. So that's the work. So GabrielleSpencer.com, you can contact me individually for sessions, but also out there I have a very powerful free MP3 called Prosperity Through Forgiveness.
Ooh.
And another called Letting Go to Be in the Flow. And Prosperity Through Forgiveness is about forgiveness of you, everyone that you have influenced, affected, and impacted in a negative way, and vice versa back to you, all those who have hurt you and impacted you in a negative way. And I will tell you that it works on a multidimensional level. And I've had people write me and say it did more for them than years of counseling, because you're releasing on a multidimensional level to heal your heart, which is, like I said, that's your gateway, that's your portal.
Yes.
That's your true anchor for your light. Okay? So I suggest GabrielleSpencer.com, go and get Prosperity Through Forgiveness and listen while you sleep. It's fantastic.
And that's a free giveaway for people to download.
Yes, it
Fantastic,
is.
you guys. Check it out. Okay, all the links will be below, as I always put them down in the comment section about this video. So check out there. Link to Gabrielle, and the Beans of Golden Light when they came through. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate your time. Thank you.
So excited to be here. This has been so lovely to talk with you. We could talk forever. But everyone, thank you for being here and listening and joining us and uniting your energy and your light, because united, we are the strongest in light. And there you are. That's our last word.
Very well said. Well, there you go, everybody. Here's a woman who's really reaching out and trying to help people to learn to find their light within. She welcomes the Golden Light Beings to work with her as they can work with you too. And she helps us find a way to align ourselves within our multidimensional aspects and to know that we have the true GPS, our higher self, that will guide us. So until next time, this was Creative Visions TV. I'm Karen Dahlman. Now get out there and align with your true purpose through who you are and who you desire to be. Blessings to you. Bye-bye.